Hey everybody, welcome to Obscurities in Miniature, and we have a nice looking treat today in front of us, and that is the new Warmachine 2-player starter set, courtesy of Steam-Forged Games. So we all know the turbulent history and the rise and fall of the various phases of Warmachine, but they're at it again, and personally, I'm quite happy about it because I've always really been a big fan. I came around in Mark II, always saw Mark I. It was probably Monster Apocalypse that actually really got my attention with Privateer when they were first rolling that out and previewing it at various trade shows. I first saw it at Comic-Con, and, well, they hooked me since. And I gotta say, I am really excited to see what Steamforged has in store for the game, and especially due to the fact that we are now operating in detailed high injection plastic something. I don't know. It's plastic. But what is this? We're greeted with terrain included. I was not aware of that. So that's already a cool little plus. So we have good old Khador and the ultramarine equivalent, I guess, for lack of better words, Cygnar in blue, Khador in red. So this is obviously a Khador frame because we've got the Gatling guns, but we've also got the symbol of the motherland right there. Ammo belts. I'm wondering if there is actually any sort of instructions included. I'm not 100% sure. Haven't gotten that far yet, obviously. I'm almost wondering if these are push fit. I'm going to say probably not, but that would be kind of interesting. They at least look easy to build based on the keyed parts here. This looks like a jack of some sort. My first thought is Khador based on the chainsaw, but the gun says Cygnar to me. Oh, I take that back. This is absolutely a Khador frame. And again, I'm really curious about this. Look how the parts are keyed. At least that way you're not going to goof up and put the wrong hand on the wrong side of the body. Is that a face or a power pack? I'm not 100% sure. While our warjacks, the mechs from the Iron Kingdom's world of Privateer and Steam-Forged Games, Warmachine, tended to have little legs. That's always been the case. I do appreciate the fact that it looks like we're moving forward to actually having them always on the ground. That is something that absolutely drove me nuts with a lot of the warjacks, especially the heavies, just in general with the original line, especially with the metals, not so much with the early plastic, restic type stuff. The resin metal hybrids was always a bit of an issue. It is interesting to see that the Cygnar mech is going to be a little bit longer limbed, but that seems to always have been the case anyways. We've got various hands. That's an interesting... Oh, it's firing. I'm like, what kind of attachment is going on there? Gunfighters makes me think Cygnar. They always had a bit of that faction rolling around in there. Some nice big Khador shields. I'm wondering if this is like some sort of a breaching team. Looks like we've got like assault shotguns or something. Definitely some fun stuff. Trench fighters, maybe? I'm not sure. Cygnar had the trench fighters. I mean, overall, and we've got our little tricorn hats there. Another Cygnar touch. At least it's cool to see some of the older sub-factions still being represented. Alright, I'm going to guess that we actually need the QR codes to figure out how to build things. So, here's something banging around in there. A random part. A out of focus Khador piece. Come on. Nope, you don't want to cooperate. Too close, too small. Oh well. Now it works. Maybe a shoulder pad? I'm not sure. So we've got all the bases included here. If you built any Warmachine figures in the past, like you remember these types of bases, I'm sure. Always slot of bases, regardless of whether or not they actually needed them. I'm like, I can't think of many 30 millimeters. So, right off the bat, It's kind of interesting to see that that is no longer the case. Obviously, these are the steam forged plastic bases. I do like that they have the texture. Not 100% sold on the lip, other than the fact that it's classic Warmachine. I've always been more of a fan of that straight base, but it is what it is. It's a lot less recessed compared to the older model bases, so I'm not going to limit those losses too much. We've got somebody on a 40, and we've got two 50mm bases as well. So, not a huge amount of figures for both sides. I believe it's like, I think 10 or 12 figures in all, including the mechs. But regardless of that, I gotta say, I am quite pleased with the quality of the sculpts and the casting. It bodes well for the future of the game. Everything looks nice, crisp, well detailed. Was building some older plastics from a different company this morning, in fact, and it was interesting to see just how much technology has improved and progressed in the last few years. Yeah, it's his back, I was going to say. Not sure what that is. Looks like a respirator, rebreather. I'm not sure. So, you know what? I think it's time for me to go take a look at that app, get things put together, and see what we've got awaiting us. And hopefully you'll be sticking around to see those results as well. So if you'd like to see that, sit tight. All right, folks. We got the starter all put together, and you know what? I don't want it to be like hyperbole or anything, but I really feel like these are some of the best models I put together in a while. Couple of reasons why. First of all, we do need to take into account the fact that we've got some terrain included, and they're all unique individual pieces. None of them are the same, as much as I thought they might be. They're not. Even the puddles of toxic whatever, or water, or sludge, or necrotech poison, whatever you want it to be, you know, they're all kind of different. So that's kind of a nice start. But the figures themselves, man, like, at first, I was kind of taken aback because there's just a ton of parts, but everything really went together smoothly. I can't reiterate this enough. I was quite impressed. Most models, anywhere from 9 to 20-something pieces. That's crazy. For just, you know, individual human-sized models. So why don't we start taking a look at those? Why don't we start with our Cygnarians here? So, good old Alistair Kane, looking a little bit more rugged for the wear there. Sporting a new beard. A couple things I also want to point out is that I haven't actually finished gluing these. I guess this was such an advanced copy that at the time I filmed this, the instructions weren't up on the website even, but honestly, the figures fit together pretty intuitively. I feel like if you've built like Kingdom Death or Malifaux stuff, you'll be well equipped to handle these. The cuts and where the joints are nicely hidden for the most part. I mean, there's some obvious spots that I haven't. Oh, hold on to you for a second. Bothered to clean up as thoroughly as I should, but I haven't actually glued everybody completely together. One of the nice things about the amount of parts that these figures are made out of is that I can really build them into nice, easy to put together sub-assemblies and move on from there. That's definitely a plus with this material, I gotta say. Other nice bonus with this material is the fact that you can have optional bits. So we have the firing pistols versus he's ready to take aim and start plugging away at those poor Khadorians who've done nothing wrong, right? So that's our Warcaster. We have our first plastic solo for Cygnar. This was Captain Falk, I believe. Nice little shotgun going on there. Again, most of the joints are pretty easily concealed for the most part. Yeah, I need to clean up a little bit here and there. But honestly, like, look at the detail. Even with my sloppy glue jobs, which admittedly are there, but it's pretty nicely camouflaged, I gotta say. Up next, we have the return of a character unit, the Black 13th. I don't know if these are the original members still. Again, I could use the nice brush-on Model Master stuff, but I can't help it. I want to just get that big ol' orange tester's tube and just glob it on there. And despite me globbing it on, I feel like the models, for the most part, came out pretty alright, other than this one was a bit of a mishap. But again, it's not super noticeable. By the time I get around to painting things, I think it will be even less so. And mostly it was because just due to the size of my fingers versus the size of those shoulder pads getting the pieces attached, did not want to cooperate as nicely as it should have. And then finally we have our sharpshooter as well. Again, the spots where all of the connections go on was really nice, I gotta say. So we've got our Cygnarian forces, but what would Cygnar be without their signature mechs? So here we have the deuce. We're gonna drop the deuce. On the tabletop, that is. I mean, the war mech. Anyway. So, again, lots of pieces. Everything fit together pretty well. I do want to point out, though, I did try to intentionally build everything as wrongly as possible while going through. Oh, I just noticed it's got the two right there. You're going to want to put the pieces to attach the head inside of the torso before you do anything else. That can be a problem because some of the stuff gets obscured as you start to put all of the armor on above. Now, I don't really have it glued together even. I glued some of the stuff like the actual pieces on the arms, but like, nope. Keeping the shield off for now so I can actually paint everything in there. The arms, not actually glued in there. Torso, nope. So it should be rather easy this time around to get things painted, which I'm looking forward to. I've painted a few Cygnar jacks in my time, so this should be fun. But honestly, I've never been a big Cygnar fan, even though I've got like a few random pieces still in my collection, like this random trencher here. Now, what I'm here for are Khador. Let's start off with the big boy here. We've got our Razor. So again, this one I thought was even more straightforward putting together. Most of the pieces were pretty intuitive. The only thing I got kind of lost on was the tusks on the shield, but once I looked at the artwork, photos, pretty simple. One of the nice things about, you know, being a plastic kit, I did not glue this and now it doesn't want to cooperate. Oh, I'm grabbing it wrong. If you wanted to keep things nice and easy to paint, makes it a lot simpler. It's a pretty well-armed mech, gotta say. Let's see. In addition to our jack, we've got, much like the Cygnar force, we've got our Warcaster, Captain Vilcol, who is my kind of caster, as he's going into battle with 6 different melee weapons. He's got this knife, the axe in his hand, and he's got 4 more where that came from. I don't know if he's supposed to be throwing them. I haven't looked at the stats yet. I'm not super worried about it at all. You know, he's got some nice Cygnar, not Cygnar, shame on me, Khador power armor with the little rebreather there. If we can get him in focus better, that would help. Just an overall fun model. I think this guy was probably the most, I think he was like 22 or 23 pieces, honestly. He was probably the most time-consuming model in the set. In addition to him, we've got... Oh shoot, I forgot his name. Our solo for... Oops. Khador. What's interesting is, much like Kane, all of these pieces, if you want him actually firing the bazooka, you can, or you can leave him ready to just aim it. I also noticed, and this took me a while to figure out, this smoke plume is totally removable as well if you don't want to have it. If you just want him ready, aiming to take fire, he's good to go. Again, level of detail on these, really, really nice. Nice enough you can see all my little imperfections where I clipped him off. And finally we have the Hounds. The Hounds being the 3-man character team. Well, 3 men and a woman, much like the Cygnar ones. For Khador, we've got our Gatling troop right here. All of their shields are not glued on yet either, thankfully, so we can get in there and get everything painted. They're all like super heavily armored. Funny that everybody's on 30mm bases. I'm so used to Khador stuff being big and bulky. Interesting, she's got like the drum ammo there. That helmet gives me a Imperial Star Wars Trooper vibes. And then we've got our other heavy, looking like a Hellhound Kerberos Panzer Cop guy. Again, very big, bulky armor. Pretty straightforward to build. And I gotta say, like, looking at these guys, I started to freak out that, like, you know what? They look really, really big. And you know what? They actually aren't. I'm shocked. Like, I swear I was, like, just dead set. These were gonna be huge. They're not gonna fit with anything. So I grabbed a variety of human-ish sized models that still exist in my Warmachine collection, or hordes. But, like, check it out. With our trencher guy there, pretty on par. Maybe a little bit shorter, but not, like, obnoxiously so. Was this a Nuala, or was this somebody else? I don't remember, but one of my Tharns. You can see fits right in. Our other female figure here in the set. Actually, why don't we grab both of the female models? Again, her shield is not glued on there and is not cooperating at the moment, but that's okay. I think the only real big one is our solo guy, but he looks like he's got heavier armor on anyways. He's on a 40mm base. I know there's some new variants on Khador power armor for Mark IV as it is, so possibly he's wearing some kind of custom set there. Just a couple other random figures. Makeda was always kind of supposed to be big, I think. So we've had resins, we've had metals, and I guess if you want to get really with the rustic stuff here, I mean, yeah, it's a troll blood, but they were always supposed to be larger anyway. Honestly, the sizes don't really look that off to me. I think they're going to fit in pretty well, especially with all the other fun tabletop games. To me, I'm like, if you're not going to want to play Warmachine, I get it. I mean, it is a bit of a more aggressive style of play. Even, you know, looking past all of the old stuff, I can totally see these models getting a lot of use in other game systems. So if you're curious just how big we're talking, let's see here. Grabbing like a WizKids human. I mean, they're not going to be like, again, overtly tall. Okay, maybe if you're going to go the historical route, you might see some differences, but again, I think if you're going to at least try to balance out the bases so that everything is roughly the same size, they're not going to be too out of place with each other. If you wanted to go the GW route for some reason, not too out of size. Personally, I was thinking with the way these guys are all decked out, if you wanted to start doing some kind of Trench Crusade style, you know, turnip, mixing them up with some like Weird War 1 type things, I think even then they're still going to fit in really nice in terms of size and even aesthetic. So I think you're going to have a lot of easy options for these figures in comparison, at least just in terms of general gaming versus, you know, not to knock them or anything because they're some of my favorites as well, but like, you know, obviously with Conquest stuff, you're going to see a huge size difference if you put them like with any of the larger scale things out there or mix them in with 3D printed stuff. I could see that being an issue as well. But for most standard tabletop gaming, you can see they're really going to fit right in with everything out there already. So that's a plus. Even some of the larger like Malifaux stuff. Malifaux's its own weird scale issues as it is, though. But if they can seem to be relatively, you know, in place with those, that's really a good sign, I think. And like I said before, honestly, these figures were just a ton of fun to build. I can't say that about all the models I've dealt with on this channel. And again, even the plastics are pretty much on par size-wise with the printed stuff. May not have as many options included at this point, but hey, we're just getting started. So I'm really hopeful and really honestly looking forward not only to more of the resin stuff, but I mean, honestly, if Steamforge wants to put out tons and tons of plastics, I mean, I will absolutely be here for it, especially if they can keep up this kind of quality. I'm not 100% sure who is the manufacturer. I have my suspicions, but honestly, stick with them because this stuff turned out really nice. I am really happy with it, and hopefully, like I said, it is the beginning of many more interesting and elaborate kits to come. And I mean, look at this. They even fit nicely with, like, infinity-sized warjack tags, all those things. So that's always cool to see. Keep your eyes peeled, and not only on this channel, obviously, but on the stores as this stuff starts to trickle its way in. You can pretty much guarantee we'll be seeing more of this in the future because I cannot wait to be putting more together, whatever the material they may be in. So hopefully we'll see more releases for Warmachine coming soon. So with that said then, this has been High Lord Tamberlane with Obscurities and Miniatures saying thanks for watching, and we will see you back here soon. Bye-bye.